Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Today we are on board with the king himself. He goes absolutely bananas on this map. I will say overall that when you're thinking about these 5 maps against the new look Minnesota Rokkr, they ended up going 3-2. So they won 3 maps, they lost 2 maps. One of the maps that they won massive. It was like 250 to 110, somewhere in there. So overall, they did end up winning these matches, but I will say that Rokkr looked pretty good. So the maps that Minnesota ended up winning, they were pretty dominant. They clutched up in the end, and they just made plays that are a little bit reminiscent of a team that has been playing together perhaps a little bit longer than just this week. Also, one thing that I'll note real quick is that on screen, it might look a little bit different. This ends up being a really long game. So if there's going to be a time where I'm going to break down a rotation or a hold or whatever a team's trying to do, I'm going to try to do some of them on screen while this is playing, because if I start breaking things down, it's going to get way too long, and I don't like when these become like 20-minute episodes. I like to stay in that 10, 12, 14-minute range. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's hop into the analysis. So as we rotate here from P1 to P2, Chicago spawned on this right side of the map, and we don't see this very often. So a lot of times when I'm breaking these down, Chicago does a nice job of, if they're on favorable side, they do a really nice job of holding down those spawns for the favorable side, but they don't always do a great job of getting in and contesting in the first hill. And they did that really well on this one. So as it rotated from P1 to P2, it was tied 9-9. So they were able to get in, they were able to contest. They got a few points here and there, but they held down these back spawns. And now that there's about 18 seconds left or so in P2, we should look for them to rotate out and try to get those back P5 spawns. So I will notice that since they're spawning on the top side of the map, then they're going to try to hit through BDOM over to P3 immediately. If Minnesota was coming from the top side of the map, then they would try to flank over through woods. So a lot of times it does depend on what area of the map you have held down. So like for an example, since Chicago was spawning, and again, right above my head, I'm drawing on screen. Since they were spawning on the top side of the map, that means that as Minnesota left P1, they hit down towards the bottom side of the map to try to break P2. So as that was happening, you would like, if you're Chicago, to hit towards the bottom side of the map and get back P5 so you have these spawns for P5. But since Minnesota has control of that bottom side of the map, the only option they really had was to just hit through BDOM and try to get inside of P3. Once they're inside of P3, as they are right now, they can try to get the rest of this time. Then as it rotates to P4, try to get as much time as you can inside of P4 so that you can basically counter what's happening as it rotates to P5. So without further ado, again, one of the best things about scrims is that we can listen in. We can hear exactly what they're talking about. Again, I'm super pumped that we are watching SCUMP's point of view here because the man just goes absolutely insane. So look for him to make big plays. I am going to stop it, break it down when I see things that are super important or that I want to point out strategies. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's turn up the volume and get in with Chicago on their team comms.
Matt, you could get on top crazy.
3v3. I'm holding you. I'm holding you.
He killed me. Outer. That's Asen. Asen's outer. Got P3 right away. Hit P3 right away. Good job.
Half ball, Justin.
One more middle.
Half all dead. Half all dead.
One more's gonna be by left side of Rokkr or something.
I'm looking up.
Yeah,
I'm
got me outer.
I'm hitting P3 now. I'm hitting
Lay down
P3.
open. Lay down open.
Ace
Just
done.
holding it. Yeah, Asim's P3 on me.
I'm looking outer. Your inner's open.
Enter, one shot.
Inner
Push
dead.
it through. I'll push it through.
I'll see him outer. He's inner.
Whoa!
Down here.
I have time. Yeah, you're good.
Quick scope him back.
Sun wheel.
I quick scoped him.
Yo, one's deep forest. One is deep forest.
I'm gonna go middle.
Yeah, he's like on the ramp. I think.
Look at back.
So I will say, overall, this isn't a terrible job out of Chicago, right? They have a 60-point lead going into P5. So even though they don't have those back spawns, you're hoping that at this point in time, you do have a one entire hill advantage. So if you can just get in, contest a little bit, you don't necessarily even have to break it, but if you can contest 15, 20, maybe 25 seconds, then as you go into the second set of rotations, you can basically have a little bit of a lead and hold down that right side of the map as it rotates from P1 to P2 again. So far they haven't really been successful at getting inside and contesting it all. But the last thing you want to do if you're Chicago is you don't want to give up that right side of the map, because at the end of the first set of rotations, if you don't get any contesting at all inside of P5 here, then the worst case scenario is that you're going to be tied going into second set of rotation. So just hold right side of the map. That way, as it goes to P2, you can start to regain and rebuild that lead that you have. Let's see what they're talking about as they move forward here.
Crates,
I'm in
there's two.
bathroom, yeah, I'm in bathroom.
Got one, I'm saying left.
I'm gonna go left.
You.
P3 hurt.
Killed one
And
force.
you are now silly. I'm stunned. You
One
silly.
short. I'm just playing
P3
ball.
dead. P3 dead.
You silly, one shot. You're such
One more.
I'll kill him.
And just as we're watching this here, that's just another thing that we kind of noticed here. So we are a little bit ahead of time. Let's go ahead, let's pause this, and let's talk through this. So as Minnesota was leaving P5, at the beginning of P5, a lot of that pressure was up towards boxes, right? Because Chicago was spawning back here. They were hitting B-Dom, trying to really get towards P3 to get the back at P5. So you saw SCUMP hit the top side of the map while the rest of his teammates were getting inside of P4. Now, as that was happening, SCUMP died a couple times. Their team got wiped on the top side of the map. And when they came up off of spawn, they spawned down towards the bottom side of the map. And we saw SCUMP try to get in from the bottom side of the map, and he just wasn't successful. As that was happening, Minnesota was escaping through pipes, through B-Dom on the top side of the map, and this is the area that a lot of those gun battles were happening as we were just on board with SCUMP right there. So they were trying to keep Minnesota from getting in the back, but as that was playing out, they weren't successful. They did end up dying. So now, as it's rotating back from P1 to P2, second set of rotations, we saw Chicago coming up off a spawn in this area. So we'll see if they can get back on the right side of the map. But if not, look for them to try to get as many points as they can inside of P1 to try to counter the map control that Minnesota has as it rotates to P2.
I'll get you.
Upper train, absolute. They could be,
Tracks, one's been tracks.
they could be
Open crate,
open.
open crate, Seth.
Going you, going you.
Yeah, he got me open.
Tracks now. Water, Alex. One more hill. One more, right?
Two
Top
crates.
crate, top crate's in rock. Top crate's in rock.
Rock dead, rock dead.
About to get time out.
Water on me. Yeah, water.
And top crate, Justin.
Great.
Water,
Try to get through left. Bill.
one's, yeah, top crate. Justin.
I need time.
Top crate, Justin dead.
Might be
Got
through
time.
this.
Adam's been hopped.
Saw Envoy with the ram right there trying to sneak through the top side of the map to P2. He did get gunned by Assault though.
Yo, I'm gonna play left right now. Yeah, is he?
I'm coming to you.
Yo,
That's
red
right,
train.
Maybe short or something.
Alright, one shot red train. Is something
Wanna
like
hit the
that.
lockers right now?
I don't have a
Deep
name.
right, deep right.
I'll see
Front
lockers.
door as well.
Here.
Close.
Weak. Good trade, good trade.
Okay,
Laying under the train, silly.
Alright, we're spawning lockers. We're spawning left. Oh, no, we're not.
We're
So hard
fine.
to shoot that.
I spawned water ramp. I spawned water
Got
ramp.
me this track.
Back side.
Top,
I missed her. Bullet back right. He's tagged.
top issue as well. Weak
Back right.
one.
And top beam
top
as well.
beam, top beam.
He jumped out.
He jumped down.
He's on the box, back right.
Back right, back right, back right.
Bill's trying to help him, I think. Bill's trying to help him,
Nice.
He got me back right. He's still on the box. He's laying
On the
out.
box here. He's hurt.
One shot, dude.
Box dead.
One more hill.
He's pitching the track.
Cracked, dead.
I got one red door maybe.
Bathroom, too. We got hit this time.
Okay,
Need a red door.
I'm gonna slide behind the barrels. Go on.
Red door, red.
Window weak. Good trade. One more.
Side door,
AC door.
Side door on you.
Good job.
Where
Good
we
time.
going here? Where we
I'm
going?
going
Let's
around.
go
I'm going all the
Let's
way
go,
back.
rotate
Yeah,
it.
going all
I'm
the way
leaving you.
back.
I'm leaving you.
You're already
I'm
I'm
going
pinching.
D4 so they don't see me. Yeah.
So this right here, that was a pretty decent job from Chicago of pushing out the bottom side of the map. They weren't successful in the first 30 seconds, but they were able to get in contest, and they owned the last 20. I like what SCUMP is doing right here. So as he's pushing the top side of the map, he's trying to pinch from the top. So as Chicago was coming up off of spawn, they hit the bottom side of the map. They were able to push it out. You saw SCUMP come from behind and get inside of P2. As soon as that happened, the rest of his teammates backed off, right? So they got control of P2. Once they were in, they left. They went over through woods. They're trying to flip so that they can get these back spawns for P3 and eventually P5. But I liked, even though SCUMP went down right there, I liked the fact that he was trying to hit a pinch here, right? So as his teammates were applying pressure from the left side of P3, he was hitting B-Dom side, trying to get as many kills as he could, so that if he gets those kills from behind, then his teammates will be successful at pushing into P3. Just kind of a nice, savvy play there overall.
Just one in the back.
I'm coming
Yeah,
up
we're
for
coming
hill.
back. We're coming back.
Go pitch, go pitch.
Yeah, I am.
I'm pinning ramp.
Yo,
I'm
one
pinning
is
ramp.
Box on me. Box on me. What the fuck,
Absolute.
dude?
Dead.
Trade.
One more hill.
The double
One close to me, two on
Nice
the
one.
hill.
Yeah, there's 20 on you. 20 on you. Seth. Play
Hill
left.
absolute AC.
Lockers dead.
There's two on hill.
Oh, and pipes flat.
I think you should have hit.
I'm
You
going
right
mid.
there.
Trophy on hill, guys.
I was already gone.
They lost spawns there.
One off wall. Close pipes on me.
Ramp, yeah.
Exact close pipes on me.
Ramp. One
Comes
close
you,
ramp,
you,
close
you.
ramp.
Pinch, pinch, pinch.
Pinch, weak.
I'm helping you. I'm helping you.
I'm dead.
You dead?
Went back into
You dead?
Look your guys' middle.
Another on my chalice.
I'll give it all.
You got me deep, got me deep.
On the head,
Sure, there's another one on wall heady, maybe?
Head.
Oh, good. What the fuck?
Scump is
more hill.
beaming.
Return.
He didn't rotate.
Just down, hopefully, one shot.
Yo, in green.
Nice,
Absolutely.
pressing it up too. They like P3, pressing pistols on P3, guys.
I'm pushing up forward.
So yeah, go for it.
Get my dirt. Get my dirt.
Yeah, you're dirt.
I'll come get time,
Back there, Alex.
No one's
Flash
front.
me.
He played
Hey,
two up
Dom.
this field.
Trying to look my green. Is that a green? That's a green?
I'm
Two
trying to
dirt.
be-
What the fuck? One more week. Alright, good job. 3. Play tight, just play tight, play tight.
One's gonna be you.
Yeah, hold you. One of you guys hold you.
I'm gonna need
trying to get-
you got deep, I need it deep.
Can you
Nothing
dead?
pitching, nothing pitching.
On dirt. And
Look
I
at
have
that.
time. Yeah, I have time.
So half wall?
Dirt,
Half wall weak?
I'm at
Good show,
Let's
we
go
got
to
it.
half wall.
half all week.
I got him.
Yeah,
There's no one green. I think.
I do like what Chicago's doing right here. They're spawning back right side of the map as they're inside of P4. They have multiple people pushed up watching you, watching half wall, watching dirt ramp over here. So if they can get kills in this range right here, that's going to keep Minnesota from coming up off of spawn and getting into contested time inside of P4.
Inner weak. Push out. Okay, it's all good.
Half all. Dead.
Two in. Matter.
Trying to get time. Yo, play
I'm gonna
this.
pinch
We have
P3.
10
I'm
seconds.
pinching P3.
I got through 8 on.
Good job.
Go from B5.
Take your time, guys. Take your time.
I need
Let's use Preston. Use Preston.
Yo, green, going
Give me
back
a
to you
second.
guys. Green going back to you guys.
Back window.
Yeah,
Dead.
he's.
Go,
It wants to
go,
be 8
go,
on.
go,
8
go,
on.
go,
He was the back door.
Wants to be
One
8 on.
force, one on you guys.
He's P3.
Oh, 8 Dom.
P3.
Shot for us. Yeah. No, we're
He
calling
jumped
that guy
up
out the whole time.
Very similar to the pinch play we were talking about before. As Chicago was leaving P4, the most of them were hitting the bottom side of the map, trying to get back P5. You saw Scump run through P3, through pipes, trying to get in, but they were watching it from the top side. The plan there was that if Arcides and Formal would have been able to get in, then he could have hit from the top side of the map and wiped anybody else. So we've seen a couple pinches here. I like the strategy out of Scump. Let's see what they can do. They are inside of P5. Let's see if they can hold on here.
I don't know where dog you went.
Okay, I got the guy shooting you.
Dead.
I'm
I'm holding you.
Front door.
Hit it again.
You got it. What the fuck,
You
dude?
right now.
What the fuck was
You dead? No one you. One shot. Super weak you.
Which one you? Which one you?
I knew it. Give me open.
I just
crate.
got
I'm
pre-fired.
going to green.
I'm gonna go deep.
Spawned you. I spawned you.
Alex is in you.
You dead?
Good job. I'm going around.
One more water ramp.
Top
Top bathroom roof and then hill.
One top bathroom roof.
You getting nades on time?
Challenging you.
You can hold guys, you can shoot him.
Yeah.
Trying to get robbed,
Green dead.
They got me a
You,
P2.
you,
I shouldn't
you
even
saw-
shot at that guy. That's stupid.
Trying to hold right.
There's got
right.
P2.
Now, right here, this is where if you're Chicago, you have to think a little bit in advance. So I know that a lot of them are just running towards P1, trying to make sure that Minnesota's not getting a ton of time here. But if you want to end up winning this match, you really do have to focus on trying to win as it rotates to P2. The worst thing that could happen is that nobody's really getting time inside of P1. You get beat as it rotates to P2. Then you lose spawns on rotation trying to get into P2. You lose spawns as it goes towards P3. Let's see what happens here as we come down to the wire.
Try to get that time. That's good time. If you get that. They can win off new. They can win off new if we don't break it.
Yo, let's
Push
back right.
I'm going lockers. Yeah, I'm going lockers right now.
I
Good
got
job.
one.
I'm going back right.
Left, one crate. Give me window probably.
One shot mid tracks.
Yo, top of C. Billy, top of C. One's back
Left side
left.
door.
You all bang me. There's one back left.
Dead. One back right.
One hit side.
Daylight set.
One shot back
Guys,
right.
try to go left, maybe?
Go back right, one shot.
I can't see him under the screen.
He's in the screen.
I got killed from hop up.
Dead.
Good job, hop up.
Red
Just
door.
one front.
I'm trying to stay
Flank me.
alive.
What are you doing left?
Red door.
One shot exceed. Tracks.
Fine.
They can't win.
Stop
They
it.
can't win up.
Now, if you're Chicago, they can no longer win off this hard point. So just don't lose rotations as it goes to P3. You want to try to get in contest, but don't lose on these rotations here.
Got out. They can't. They cannot win up.
Tracks dead.
Just rotate. Everyone rotate.
Watch out.
Everyone get rotating, get a good hold.
We can't even
One's
win
mid tracks.
Are we missing anybody, bro?
Go now.
I don't know.
I don't know.
On crates.
One more old.
They're here.
Yeah, wait. Exceed's on you.
Water. You
Got me,
absolute
got
assault.
me new exceed.
We're good, brothers. We're
In
good.
new.
Flash.
I don't see
Flash.
you. We gotta hit ramp together. Okay, we gotta hit ramp.
Yeah, go fast.
Yeah, he shot me from on.
He doesn't use trophy.
You got me, Alex.
Alright,
Alex,
They have
I'm in you.
trophies.
I'm still ramp.
Yeah, I'm just flooding time. I'm flooding time.
On the head to
Yeah,
kill.
we have to go. You guys have to go.
I'm weak on hill.
You guys have to go. That's
Should have rotated.
Yeah, and see, there's towards the end. They just rotated too late, right? I get that you want to get in, you want to try to contest, you want to get as much time inside of P2 as you can, but you absolutely cannot lose rotations for P3. So they had the left side of the map there, but The issue was that they had the left side of the map, but they weren't able to get through ramp, through boxes to get in contest inside of P3. So I would have rather all of them backed off, get time, make sure you get the map positioning inside of P3, and then you can deal with Minnesota as they rotate from B-Dom on their way over from P2. So as you look at this here, SCUMP did drop 43 and 29. Formal was positive. Arcees was -3. Pristini +3, and Envoy there was -7. He did say something about not being too happy with the RAM after this game, so I don't know if he's just trying it out, if he's going to be changing or whatnot. Assault underneath for Minnesota went 37 and 30. Exceed was 30 and 39. He went -9, but that's a ton of interactions. So that's his job, right? They want him to speed up the game and have a ton of interactions, and that's what he did here. So down in the comments below, let me know what you think about this one, the 43 bomb out of SCUMP. New around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I put out brand new videos like this every single day, getting you set for the Call of Duty League playoffs coming up here in about 3 weeks. Leave a like. It really helps out the channel. Thank you guys so much. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.